Hey, happy Friday, everyone. I got a DM and somebody said, "Do you have legs?" I even have feet. I am in the process of losing weight, so my clothes are baggy. So I don't stand up and take a lot of videos. Most of my videos, I'm just comfy. I'm on the sofa, as you know. So today is Friday, wearing red for the veterans. I love each and every one of you. My veterans, your families, the Leos, state, federal, local. You guys are the best. You know that. I would move heaven and earth for each of you, and you know that. So yesterday, they announced the passing of David Crosby. Wow, that that was hard. I grew up listening to David Crosby. Crosby, Stills, Nash. Crosby, Stills, Nash and Young was just a part of my everyday existence in the late '60s and early '70s. They sang about romance and relationships, the war. Vietnam was a big part of life at that time. I had a half brother who was in Vietnam. I had a brother who's 9 years older than me that was in college. And he was waiting to find out if he was going to be drafted. So that was a lot of stress, a lot of tension. My dad was an executive in the aeronautics industry. I should say avionics, I guess, Boeing. And he would come home from work every night, have a cup of coffee and his cigarette, and we would sit around the TV in the living room. And I mean, this is just as clear as if it happened yesterday. We would watch Walter Cronkite's CBS Evening News. And there would always be that disclaimer. You know, the footage that they were going to show was going to be, raw footage. So have your kids leave the room. I was in 7th grade, I guess. A couple of times they would say, "Okay, I think you need to step out of the room." And I would poke my head back around the corner so I could still see, of course. But it was a lot that was going on. Back then, we didn't discuss a lot of things. I'm sure my parents talked to my brother about stuff, but I was too young. You didn't question. It was just okay. And, everybody was talking. You had newspapers, of course, and magazines. And I just remember at school everybody talking about stuff. And in my 7th grade English class and another class, it might have been a civics class, I can't remember for sure. Once a week I want to say once a week. I remember doing this several times. We would write letters to the soldiers. And that was kind of cool. That was a big thing. Everybody had their POW bracelets. That was a big thing. It was just a sad time. We always had hope that it would end. Didn't end soon enough. Way too many lives were lost. And, we didn't talk for my half brother that served and other people that I had known that came home. You didn't talk about it. My other brother, the one that was in college at the time, one of his best friends that he grew up with came back. And I remember Marshall came back in a wheelchair. And I mean, this is somebody that my brother played baseball and basketball with. We saw him every day. They lived down the street. And that was something, and you didn't ask. It was just, you don't talk about it. I read every book available to me at the time on the war, on John McCain. He's one of my heroes. Sorry if you don't believe the way I do, that's your choice. But John McCain is a hero to me. And everyone that was in his shoes, my heart goes out to the families and to them. I read and read and read. I would come home from school with my books, my homework. We had a huge house. But I would steal away downstairs to the pool room where the pool table was and the stereo. And I would listen to my brother's records. Yes, I was the evil sister that got into my brother's records and would play them. He would yell at me. And I listened to the Deja Vu album, Crosby, Stills, Nash and Young, Deja Vu. I don't know how many times. I would pop in You remember 8 Tracks? Linda Ronstadt? Yep. Just, that was how I spent my time, was listening to music and reading. And I found that the music would kind of soothe my soul from all the drama going on in life. And for me, you could watch the news and get, what I was allowed to watch, and get a good idea of what was going on, and read the newspapers and read the books and then form your own opinions. And that's what I encourage people to do. Get the data, but form your own opinion. Don't take anything at face value. Form your own opinion. And the death of David Crosby just brought all of this up yesterday. And he's going to be very, very missed. I think the only one left is Graham Nash, who is still performing, believe it or not. He's in New York, lives a very quiet life, but he still performs on occasion. And Neil Young. I can't think of anything nice to say about Neil Young. And I know the man personally. That's why I can't say anything nice about him. I knew his wife, Peggy. I love Peggy. Peggy was great. She passed 2018, 2019. Lovely soul. She had cancer and passed. And that was a big loss in my world. So, David Crosby, if you hear us, you will be missed, my love. You are a part of Americana. He is. He and his music. Millions of us grew up listening to this. So life goes on. We're all aging. Gina Lollobrigida just passed. I mean, what young girl didn't want to be Gina Lollobrigida or Sophia Loren or Twiggy? I wanted to be Twiggy because I was already skinny, so I was one up on that one. But life goes on. The icons that we grew up with, they age, they die. Their memory, their legends live on. And that's a good thing. Jeff Beck passed. Wow. But life goes on. The world changes. I talked to my son, and some of the musicians he's familiar with, I'm not. And I talked to my granddaughter, holy cats, that's a whole different conversation. She'll talk about movies and movie stars, and I am, people on TV, I'm clueless. I don't know, but I just smile and nod. I'm really good at that. But the world goes on. So while you're in this world, make a positive impression, leave a positive footprint. Whether you've done what I've done, I've written 8 books. And so those will be around forever, whether anybody buys them or not. The books are going to be there. But make a positive footprint. Leave something for the world to know. Hey, I'm a good soul. I've done good things, Whether that's just being altruistic and helping people anonymously. I love that. Do that. Because people may not know you by name, but they'll know the deed. And they'll say, oh my gosh, do you remember the time? That could be you. That's kind of cool. That's way cool. Teach your children to give of themselves. Walk away from conflict. Don't react. Learn to respond. Be a good citizen. Be a good neighbor. Be a good soul. Help people before they even ask you for help. You're worthy of love. You're worthy of respect, and you have to give it in return. Okay? So we have a weekend upon us. Time for a little self-care. Indulge yourself. There's some good sports on this weekend. I'm ready. I am pumped. I am ready for sports. Gonna have my guacamole, ready to rock and roll. Absolutely. Have a great weekend. And listen to some David Crosby. Tell him goodbye.